A little girl's plea. The billionaire's unexpected transformation. Imagine a world where power and wealth define everything, where the cold logic of business dictates every decision. Now, picture a moment so pure, so unexpected, it shatters that world completely. When 6-year-old Lily approached the city's richest man, tears streaming down her face, begging him to save her mom, he had no idea that this tiny girl would change his life forever. What happened next? No one saw it coming. Have you ever felt a sudden, undeniable urge to help someone, even if it goes against all your plans? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this story moves you, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. It was a Friday afternoon when Ethan Thorne stepped out of his sleek black Mercedes in front of the city's tallest corporate building. At 42, he had built a financial empire that made him one of the wealthiest men in the country, but also one of the loneliest. His life had been reduced to executive meetings, million-dollar figures, and decisions affecting thousands of employees. But it had been years since he felt a real connection with another human being. He wore his $3,000 Italian suit like armor, walking with the confidence of someone who had learned that money could buy almost anything: respect, loyalty, even love. Or so he believed. His footsteps echoed on the marble of the lobby as he headed for the private elevator that would take him to the 50th floor, where he had a crucial meeting with Japanese investors. But fate had other plans. When the elevator doors opened on the 15th floor due to a technical glitch, Ethan sighed with frustration. He hated unexpected delays. He hated losing control. And he definitely hated having to use the stairs. But as he walked toward the emergency exit, a small voice stopped him dead in his tracks. "Excuse me, sir." Ethan turned and saw a little girl, no more than 6 years old, standing by the waiting area seats. Her brown hair was pulled back in 2 messy pigtails. She wore a blue dress that had seen better days, and her shoes were worn but clean. But what caught his attention most were her eyes. Large, expressive, full of a sadness that shouldn't exist on the face of such a young child. "What are you doing here, little one?" Ethan asked, looking around for a responsible adult. "Where are your parents?" The girl took a few steps closer, and Ethan could see that she had been crying. Her cheeks were streaked with tears, and she clutched a crumpled paper tightly in her small hands. "My mom is upstairs on the 18th floor," she replied with a trembling voice. "She's trying to get a job, but she's very sick and can't work well." Ethan frowned. The 18th floor housed several small businesses, mainly accounting firms and law offices. He had no idea why a sick woman would be looking for work there, but it wasn't his problem. "Look, little one, I'm sure your mom can take care of her own affairs. I have a very important meeting and—" "Please," the girl interrupted, her voice breaking. "You look like an important person, like someone who can help. My mom needs a job because we need money for her medicine, but she faints a lot, and nobody wants to hire her." Ethan paused. There was something about the pure desperation of this child that pierced all his defenses. For years, he had been approached by people who wanted something from him: money, favors, investments. But he had never seen such genuine, raw need, especially not on a child's face. "What's your name?" he asked, kneeling to her level. "Lily," she replied, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "Lily Davis, and my mom's name is Sarah." "And what kind of job is your mom looking for?" "Anything," Lily answered quickly. "She knows how to do many things. She can clean, she can cook, she can babysit. She worked in an office before she got sick, but they fired her when she started missing work to go to the doctor." Ethan felt something strange stir in his chest. It wasn't compassion, he told himself. It was simply curiosity. It had been years since he had interacted with ordinary people, with people struggling for basic needs instead of luxuries. Lily, what illness does your mom have? The girl's eyes filled with tears again. The doctors say she has something with her heart. She needs an operation, but it costs a lot of money. We don't have money for that. And your dad? I don't have a dad, Lily replied simply, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. It's always just been Mom and me. Ethan was silent for a moment, processing the information. A single mother, sick, desperately looking for work to support her daughter and pay for medical treatment that would probably cost more than she could earn in years. Lily, why are you telling me this? The girl looked at him with those big, honest eyes. Because when I saw you get out of the nice car in the fancy suit, I thought maybe, just maybe, you could help my mom get a job. She's very good at working, I promise you. She just needs someone to give her a chance. Ethan felt something he hadn't experienced in years. The sensation of truly being needed. Not for his money or connections, but for his basic humanity. This child didn't know who he was. She didn't know how much money he had. She simply saw an adult who could help her mother. You know what, Lily? Let's go up to the 18th floor and meet your mom. Lily's eyes lit up as if she had seen a miracle. Really? You're really going to help? We'll see what we can do, Ethan replied. And for the first time in years, he mentally canceled his $1,000,000 meeting. Something told him that what he was about to discover on the 18th floor would be more important than any contract he could sign. As they rode up the elevator, Lily told him more about her life. They lived in a small apartment across town. Her mom worked 2 jobs before she got sick, and she went to the neighborhood public school. She spoke with the wisdom of someone who had grown up too fast, but maintained the innocence of a child who still believed that adults could fix any problem. What are you going to be when you grow up, Lily? Ethan asked, as the elevator doors opened on the 18th floor. A doctor, she replied immediately, so I can cure my mom and other sick moms. Ethan felt something break inside his chest. This child, who had seen more hardship in her 6 years than many adults in their entire lives, still dreamed of helping others. When they got off the elevator, Lily guided him down the hallway to a small waiting room where a woman sat in a plastic chair, clearly exhausted after what seemed to have been a long day of fruitless interviews. Sarah Davis was around 30, but looked older due to fatigue and illness. She was thin, too thin, and had deep, dark circles under her eyes. But when she saw Lily approaching with an unknown man, her face lit up with a smile that completely transformed her appearance. Lily, where were you? You had me worried. Mom, this gentleman helped me. He wants to talk to you about a job. Sarah stood up quickly, but Ethan noticed how she had to grip the chair to keep her balance. She extended her hand to him with a nervous smile. Sir, thank you for helping my daughter. I'm Sarah Davis. I hope Lily didn't bother you. Ethan shook her hand, noticing it was cold, and trembled slightly. Not at all. In fact, she told me you're looking for work. Yes, sir. I'm willing to do anything. I have administrative experience, but I can learn anything you need. Can you come to my office tomorrow? I think we might have something that interests you. Sarah blinked as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Really? What kind of job? Ethan had no idea. He hadn't planned this. He hadn't thought about the implications. He just knew he couldn't let this woman and her daughter continue to struggle alone. We'll discuss that tomorrow. Can you be at Thorne Enterprises building at 9 a.m.? Sarah nodded vigorously, and Ethan noticed tears of relief in her eyes. He handed her his business card, and when Sarah read the name, she froze. Ethan Thorne, the owner of Thorne Enterprises? The same, Ethan replied, and saw Sarah gasp. Mr. Thorne, I don't know what to say. Lily, do you realize who you were talking to? Lily looked between her mom and Ethan, confused. Is he important? Very important, my love, Sarah whispered, and then looked at Ethan with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. Mr. Thorne, I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me yet, Ethan replied. We'll talk tomorrow. As he rode down the elevator, Ethan wondered what he had done. He had built his empire on logic, strategy, meticulous planning. But in one afternoon, a 6-year-old girl had made him make a completely emotional decision, and for the first time in years, he felt alive. A new purpose. The Heart of Thorn. Enterprises. Ethan spent the entire night awake, something that hadn't happened for reasons other than work in over a decade. But this time, it wasn't numbers or projections that kept his mind busy, but the face of a little girl asking for help for her sick mother. At 6 a.m., when he would normally have been checking Asian markets, he found himself researching heart problems in young women online. What he found disturbed him more than he expected. Treatments were expensive, complicated, and without adequate health insurance, many people simply couldn't access them. At 8:30 a.m., Ethan was in his office on the 50th floor, but instead of preparing for executive meetings, he had canceled his entire agenda. His assistant, Carmen, an efficient 45-year-old woman who had worked for him for 8 years, looked at him with curiosity. "Mr. Thorne, are you sure you want to cancel the meeting with the Tokyo investors? We've been preparing this presentation for months." "Reschedule it for next week," Ethan replied without looking up from his computer. "Today I have something more important to do." Carmen frowned. In 8 years, she had never seen Ethan prioritize anything above business. "May I ask what kind of meeting is so important?" "A job interview," Ethan replied, and Carmen was completely confused. "A job interview? Isn't that the responsibility of the Human Resources Department?" "This one is special," Ethan said, finally looking up. "Carmen, when Sarah Davis arrives, bring her directly to my office, and please offer her something to drink. Coffee, tea, whatever she prefers." Carmen nodded, although it was clear she didn't understand anything that was happening. "What position are you considering for Ms. Davis?" Ethan paused. It was an excellent question for which he had no answer. "We'll see," he murmured. At 9 a.m. sharp, Carmen knocked on his office door. "Mr. Thorne, Ms. Davis is here. Send her in," Ethan replied, standing behind his desk. Sarah entered nervously, carrying a folder with what was probably her resume. She had made herself as presentable as possible, but Ethan could see that her clothes, though clean and neat, had seen better days. What impressed him most was that, despite being clearly ill and nervous, she maintained a dignity that many of his highest-paid executives did not possess. "Mr. Thorne, good morning. Thank you for seeing me. Please, sit down." Ethan indicated the chair in front of his desk. "How is Lily this morning?" Sarah smiled, and her entire expression softened. "She's very excited. Last night she couldn't stop talking about the kind gentleman who was going to help Mommy get a job. Does she know how serious her medical condition is?" Sarah's smile faded. "She knows I'm sick, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know everything. She's still too young." "Tell me about your condition," Ethan said gently. Sarah took a deep breath. "I have dilated cardiomyopathy. Basically, my heart has weakened and enlarged. I need a transplant, but while we wait for a compatible donor, I need very expensive medication to keep my heart functioning." "How long have the doctors given you?" "Without treatment, maybe 6 months. With treatment, I could live for years until we find a donor." Sarah paused, and Ethan could see tears forming in her eyes. "But the medication costs $3,000 a month, and that's not counting consultations and tests." Ethan felt as if someone had punched him in the stomach. $3,000 a month was what he spent on lunch at expensive restaurants. It was an insignificant amount for him, but for Sarah, it was the difference between life and death. "What will happen to Lily if you—" "I don't know," Sarah whispered. "I don't have family. Her father left when he found out I was pregnant. Lily has no one but me." Ethan stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city stretching below him. He had built his fortune by being pragmatic, calculating, always thinking about long-term profit. But now he was considering something that defied all his business logic. "Sarah, what did you do before you got sick?" I was an administrator at an import company. I managed inventory, coordinated with suppliers, supervised warehouse staff. I was good at my job, Mr. Thorne. I was never late. I never missed work, unless it was absolutely necessary. Why were you fired? Sarah lowered her gaze. When the symptoms started, I began to faint at work. At first, I thought it was stress, but then it started happening more frequently. My supervisor said it was a liability to have someone who could collapse at any moment. Do you have your resume? Sarah handed him the folder she had been holding. Ethan quickly reviewed it and was surprised by what he found. Sarah had a degree in business administration, several training courses, and excellent references from all her previous jobs. You're overqualified for most of the jobs you've been applying for, Ethan observed. When you're desperate, you can't be picky, Sarah replied. I need any job I can do without risking my health. Ethan made a decision that would change not only Sarah and Lily's lives, but also his own. Sarah, I want to offer you a job, but before you accept, I need you to understand something. It's not charity. It's a real position with real responsibilities. I need someone to oversee the administration of my home, coordinate with the cleaning staff, handle deliveries, supervise minor repairs. It's a job you can do from home most of the time, with flexible hours. Sarah blinked. Really? What kind of salary would you be offering? $5,000 a month, plus full health insurance for you and Lily. Sarah froze completely. Pardon? Did you say $5,000? Yes, and the health insurance would cover all your treatments, including surgery, if you need the transplant. Tears began to stream down Sarah's cheeks. Mr. Thorne, that's too generous. Why would you do something like that for a stranger? Ethan thought of Lily, of her hopeful eyes, of the way she had completely trusted him. Because your daughter reminded me of something I had forgotten. She reminded me that some things are more important than numbers in a bank account. I don't know what to say, Sarah sobbed. It's like a miracle. There's one condition, Ethan added. I need you to focus on taking care of your health. No working when you feel unwell. No hiding symptoms. Your number one priority is to recover. Sarah nodded vigorously. Yes, of course. Mr. Thorne, I don't know how to thank you. Take care of yourself and take care of Lily. That will be thanks enough. Ethan spent the next hour explaining the details of the job, introducing her to Carmen, who would help her with the health insurance paperwork, and arranging for her to start the following Monday. When Sarah was about to leave, she turned to Ethan with an expression he couldn't fully interpret. Mr. Thorne, may I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you have children? Ethan felt a pang of something he hadn't experienced in years. No, I never married. I never had time for a family. Well, you should know that you would have been a wonderful father, Sarah said softly. What you're doing for Lily and for me, not all men have that kindness in their heart. After Sarah left, Ethan was left alone in his office, looking out the window at the city. Carmen entered with a cup of coffee. Mr. Thorne, may I ask what just happened? Ethan took the coffee and smiled, something Carmen hadn't seen in years. I just made the best investment of my life, Carmen, and it doesn't even have to do with money. The unfolding home, beyond the boardroom. That night, Ethan went home early for the first time in years. But instead of heading to his empty mansion, he stopped at a toy store. There was something he needed to do. As he walked through the aisles filled with toys, he realized he had no idea what 6-year-old girls liked. But when he saw a large dollhouse with tiny furniture, something inside him told him it was perfect. The next day, when the gift was delivered to Sarah's address, it came with a note. To Lily, thank you for reminding me that the best miracles come in small packages. But Ethan didn't know that the real miracle was just beginning. 3 weeks after hiring Sarah, Ethan found himself doing something he had never done in his 42 years of life, leaving work early to have dinner with someone who wasn't a client or business partner. Sarah had turned out to be exactly what she had promised: efficient, responsible, and completely dedicated to her job. She had reorganized the entire household administration with a precision that impressed even Ethan, who was known for his impossibly high standards. Suppliers arrived on time, repairs were completed without delays, and for the first time in years, Ethan didn't have to worry about the domestic details that had always been a nuisance. But more than that, Sarah had brought something to Ethan's life that he didn't know he needed, a sense of purpose that went beyond financial success. His house, a modern 5-bedroom mansion that had always felt too big and empty, now had life. There were laughs in the hallways, the aroma of homemade food in the kitchen, and a warmth that no amount of money had been able to buy. "Uncle Ethan!" Lily's voice echoed throughout the house when he entered the front door. In the 3 weeks they had worked together, the girl had started calling him that naturally, and he had discovered that there was no sound in the world he liked more. Lily came running down the hallway, her school dress a little wrinkled after a day of play, and her backpack dragging behind her. She launched herself into his arms, with the complete trust of a child who knew she would be received with love. "Mom's making your favorite food," she announced, hugging him tightly around the neck. "And what's my favorite food?" Ethan asked, picking her up as he walked toward the kitchen. "Chicken and rice. Mom says it's what you like most because you never leave anything on your plate." Ethan looked at Sarah, who was at the stove with an amused smile. She wore an apron over her work clothes, and although she still looked fragile due to her condition, she had gained some weight and color in her cheeks since starting medical treatment. "How do you know it's my favorite food?" Ethan asked, putting Lily down. "Because it's the only thing you finish completely when Carmen orders food for you," Sarah replied without turning around, stirring something that smelled incredibly good. "Executives always leave something. You just completely finish the chicken and rice." Ethan laughed, surprised by the observation. It was true, although he hadn't realized anyone had been paying attention to his eating habits. "You're very observant." "I have to be. It's my job to make sure you're well taken care of," Sarah replied, and there was something in her tone that suggested that for her, this hobby is much more than a simple business transaction. "Can I help with dinner?" Ethan asked, loosening his tie. Sarah turned with genuine surprise. "You want to cook?" "I've never cooked in my life," Ethan admitted, "but I've always wanted to learn." "I'll teach you!" Lily exclaimed, jumping with excitement. "I know how to do many things. I know how to make scrambled eggs and peanut butter sandwiches and even pancakes." Over the next hour, Ethan found himself in a completely new situation, being taught by a 6-year-old how to make scrambled eggs while Sarah prepared the rest of dinner. Lily had climbed onto a chair to reach the counter, directing him with the seriousness of a professional chef. No, Uncle Ethan," Lily patiently corrected him. "You have to move the spoon like this in circles or they'll burn." Ethan followed her instructions religiously, but still managed to burn the first eggs. He put too much salt in the second batch, and the third came out too runny. But when he finally managed to make a batch that was edible, Lily applauded, as if he had achieved the greatest triumph in the world. "They're perfect, Uncle Ethan. You're the best cook." "I don't know if I'm the best," Ethan laughed, wiping his hands on the apron Sarah had given him. "But I'm definitely the most enthusiastic student you've ever had." Sarah watched them from the stove, with a smile that completely transformed her face. "Lily is a very demanding teacher. It took me weeks to learn to make eggs the way she likes them." "Did Mom have to learn to cook too?" Ethan asked curiously. "Yes," Lily replied. "Mom says when she was young, the only thing she knew how to do was boil water." "Lily," Sarah protested, laughing. "Don't tell him all my secrets." "What else doesn't Mom know how to do?" Ethan asked conspiratorially. "She doesn't know how to ride a bike," Lily announced triumphantly. "I didn't know that either," Sarah exclaimed. But she was laughing so hard that she couldn't sound truly annoyed. As they ate dinner together at the kitchen table, Ethan realized that this was the first time in years that he had had a dinner conversation that didn't involve business, money, or corporate strategies. Instead, He listened about Lily's day at school, about her best friend Chloe who had lost a tooth, about the teacher who had brought her dog to class. "Lily told me something interesting today," Sarah said, serving more rice onto Ethan's plate. "What did she tell you?" "That you told her teacher you were going to her play next week." Ethan almost choked on his chicken. "I did?" "Yes!" Lily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "You told Ms. Taylor you were coming to see my play. I'm going to be a tree." Ethan looked at Sarah, who had a nostalgic but understanding expression. "When is the play?" "Thursday at 2 p.m., Sarah replied. "But don't worry, you don't have to go. I know you have important work." "Are you kidding?" Ethan said, looking at Lily with complete seriousness. "How could I miss seeing the most beautiful tree in the world?" Lily's eyes lit up as if she had seen fireworks. "You're really going? I wouldn't miss it for anything in the world." That night, after Sarah had taken Lily to her small apartment, Ethan stayed in his kitchen, cleaning the dishes, and thinking about how different his life felt. For the first time in years, he had something to look forward to that had nothing to do with work, money, or professional success. The play, the promise, the family, a seed of love, takes root. The next day, he canceled 3 meetings to ensure he could go to Lily's school play. Carmen looked at him as if he had completely lost his mind. "Mr. Thorne, the meeting with the German investors has been scheduled for 2 months. Reschedule it," Ethan replied. While checking his email, something more important came up. More important than a $50 million investment. Much more important. Carmen was silent for a moment, studying her boss. In 8 years of working for him, she had never seen him prioritize something personal over business. "May I ask what's so important?" "A 6-year-old is going to play a tree in a school play, and I promised her I'd be there to see it." Carmen blinked. "Excuse me? Did I hear that right?" Ethan smiled. "And before you ask, yes, I've completely lost my mind. And no, I don't care." Thursday arrived, and Ethan found himself sitting on a tiny plastic chair in the first-grade classroom of the local elementary school, surrounded by parents and family members. He was the only man in a $3,000 suit, and definitely the only millionaire in the room. But he couldn't have been happier. "Are you Lily's dad?" asked a woman sitting next to him. "I'm her uncle," Ethan replied, and was surprised by how natural that word sounded coming from his lips. "She can't stop talking about you," the woman continued. "She says you're the best uncle in the world." Ethan felt a warmth spread through his chest. She's the best niece in the world. When the curtains opened, and he saw Lily standing on stage in a homemade tree costume, holding her arms like branches, and with a smile that lit up the entire room, Ethan felt something he had never experienced before. Pure paternal pride. "That's my Uncle Ethan!" Lily shouted from the stage, completely breaking her tree character to wave at him with one of her branches. Ethan waved back, not caring that all the other parents turned to look at him. In that moment, he wasn't the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation. He was simply the proud uncle of an extraordinary little girl. The play was a story about the importance of caring for nature. Lily, as the wise tree, had to give advice to the other children on how to protect the environment. When it was her turn to speak, she cleared her throat with all the seriousness of a professional actress. "I am the wise tree," she declared in a strong, clear voice. "I have lived many years and seen many things. I know we must take care of nature because it is our home." Ethan found himself recording with his phone, something he had never done before. He wanted to capture every moment, every expression, every word. After the play, Lily ran to him, still in her tree costume. "Uncle Ethan, you came. Was I a good tree?" "You were the best tree I've ever seen in my life," Ethan said, picking her up. "I'm so proud of you. Can we celebrate? Can we go for ice cream?" Ethan looked at Sarah, who had been watching from the back of the room, tears of joy in her eyes. She nodded with a smile. Of course. Let's celebrate. At the ice cream parlor, as Lily devoured a triple chocolate ice cream with colorful sprinkles, she told Ethan about everything she had practiced for the play, about her friends at school, about the homework she had to do that night. Uncle Ethan, Lily said between spoonfuls of ice cream, you have family. Well, I have you too, Ethan replied. But do you have a mom and a dad? Ethan felt a pang of sadness. My parents died when I was young. I don't have brothers or sisters. So you were alone? Lily asked, with the direct innocence of a child. Yes, I've been alone for a long time. Lily put her small hand on his. Well, you're not alone anymore. Now you have me and Mom. Ethan felt tears stinging his eyes. You're right. Now I have the best family in the world. You know what, Uncle Ethan? Lily continued. Mom says sometimes family isn't just the people you're born with, but the people who choose to stay with you. The girl's words struck Ethan like lightning. All his life, he had thought that family was something you either had or didn't have. He had never considered that it could be something you build, something you choose. Your mom is very wise, Ethan murmured. Yes, Mom knows many things, but she says you also know many important things. Like what? Like being kind to people who need help, like making scrambled eggs, like being the best uncle in the world. That night, after taking Sarah and Lily home, Ethan stayed awake thinking about the girl's words. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel alone. He had a chosen family, a family that had formed not by blood, but by love, mutual need, and the simple decision to care for each other. The next day, he called his lawyer. I need you to draft some documents, he told him. I want to set up an education trust, and I want to make sure that Sarah Davis and her daughter Lily are financially protected, no matter what happens. What kind of protection are you considering? The lawyer asked. Complete, Ethan replied. I want them to know they will always be safe. Because he had learned something that all his money and success had not been able to teach him. That true wealth is not measured in numbers, but in the people who choose to love you and stay with you, no matter what. And for the first time in his life, Ethan felt truly rich. A family grows. Love, hope, and a new beginning. 2 months after the play, Ethan had established a routine he never thought possible in his life. Every morning, before going to work, he had breakfast with Sarah and Lily. Every afternoon, he came home expecting to hear about their day. And every night, after Sarah took Lily to her apartment, he stayed in his kitchen, wondering how he had lived so long without that family warmth. Sarah's medical treatments had shown promising results. Dr. Carter, the cardiologist Ethan had hired, had adjusted her medications and developed a treatment plan that had significantly stabilized her condition. Although she would still eventually need a transplant, it was no longer a matter of months, but years. The numbers are improving, the doctor had told Ethan privately. Access to quality medication and reduced stress have made a noticeable difference. She is responding better than we expected. But it was a Tuesday afternoon when everything changed. Ethan had come home early, expecting to find Lily doing homework as usual. Instead, he found the house silent. He called Sarah, but there was no answer. He walked to the kitchen and found a note on the table. Ethan, I had to take Lily to the hospital. She had an accident at school. We're at the general hospital. Sarah. Ethan's heart stopped. Without thinking twice, he grabbed his car keys and drove to the hospital faster than he had ever driven in his life. Throughout the journey, his mind raced with terrible possibilities. What kind of accident? How serious was it? Why hadn't he received a call? When he arrived at the hospital, he ran to the reception. I'm looking for Lily Davis. She's a 6-year-old girl who was brought in this afternoon. Are you family? The receptionist asked. I'm her uncle, Ethan replied automatically, surprised by how natural it sounded. Emergency room, pediatrics section. Take the elevator to the second floor. Ethan ran down the hospital corridors, his heart beating so hard he could hear it in his ears. When he finally found the pediatric section, he saw Sarah sitting in a plastic chair, her head in her hands. "Sarah!" Ethan ran to her. "What happened? Where's Lily?" Sarah lifted her head, and Ethan saw that she had been crying. "Ethan, thank you for coming. Lily is fine, but what? What happened? She fell on the playground. She broke her arm and hit her head. The doctors say it's nothing serious, but she needs to stay for observation tonight." Ethan felt as if he could breathe again. "Can I see her?" "She's asleep now. The doctors gave her something for the pain." "How did it happen?" Sarah sighed deeply. She was playing on the swings with other children. Apparently, some older kids were bothering her, telling her things about not having a dad. She got angry and tried to get off the swing while it was still moving. Ethan's blood boiled. "What kids? What exactly did they say to her?" "Ethan, it doesn't matter. They're just kids being cruel." "Yes, it does matter," Ethan said firmly. "No one has the right to hurt Lily." Just then, a nurse approached. "Miss Davis, your daughter is awake and asking for you." Sarah stood up quickly, but Ethan noticed she swayed slightly. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. Just tired. It's been a very long day." They entered the room together, where Lily was lying in a hospital bed that seemed too big for her. She had a cast on her right arm and a bandage on her forehead, but she smiled when she saw them come in. "Uncle Ethan, you came." "Of course I came," Ethan said, approaching the bed. "How do you feel, Princess?" "It hurts a little bit, but the doctor says I'll be fine. And look," she held up her casted arm. "I can have people write things here." "Can I be the first to write something?" Ethan asked. "Yes." A nurse brought him a marker, and Ethan carefully wrote, "To the bravest girl in the world, I love you, Uncle Ethan." Lily's eyes filled with tears of joy. "That's the nicest thing anyone has ever written to me." "Lily," Ethan said softly, "do you want to tell me what happened on the playground?" Lily's smile faded. "Some big kids were being mean." "What did they say to you?" Lily looked at her mother, who nodded encouragingly. "They said I didn't have a dad. That's why Mom and I were poor before. They said that nobody loved me." Ethan felt such deep anger that he had to make an effort to keep his voice calm. "And what do you think about that?" "I think they're wrong," Lily said, with a firmness that surprised both adults. "Maybe I don't have the dad who made me, but I have the best uncle in the world. And Mom says love is what makes a family, not papers." "Lily is right," Ethan said, taking her small hand. "And I want you to know something very important. You have someone who loves you more than anything in the world. In fact, you have two people who love you that much." "Two?" "Your mom and me. We are your family, and we will always be here for ya, Myunshahya." That night, Ethan insisted on staying at the hospital. Sarah protested, telling him he had work the next day. But he was inflexible. "Sarah, I'm not going anywhere. Lily needs both of us here." "Ethan, I can't ask you to do that. You've already done too much for us. You're not asking me for anything. This is what family does." While Lily slept, Ethan and Sarah sat in chairs beside her bed. It was the first time they had been alone together for an extended period. And Ethan realized that there were many things he wanted to know about the woman who had brought so much light into his life. "Sarah," he said softly, "may I ask you about Lily's dad?" Sarah tensed slightly. "What do you want to know?" "Whatever you want to tell me. I just want to understand better." Sarah sighed, looking at her sleeping daughter. "His name was Mark. I met him in college. He was charismatic, fun. He made me feel special. But when I told him I was pregnant, he disappeared. Literally. He changed his phone number. He moved. I never heard from him again." "Does Lily ask about him?" "She used to when she was younger. But she hasn't mentioned wanting a dad in months. I think you've filled that void." Ethan felt a pressure in his chest. "Have you ever thought about getting married? About giving Lily a permanent father figure?" Sarah looked at him with curiosity. "Why do you ask that?" "Just curious," Ethan lied, though he knew it wasn't true. In recent weeks, he had begun to feel something for Sarah that went beyond the concern of an employer or even a friend. It was something he had never felt before, a deep, protective love that made him want to take care of her and Lily for the rest of his life. "Ethan," Sarah said softly, "may I ask you something?" "Of course. Why did you never get married? Don't tell me you never found anyone. A man like you, successful, attractive, kind-hearted. There must have been many interested women." Ethan thought about his answer. "There were some, but I always felt they were interested in Ethan Thorne, the millionaire, not Ethan the person. I never found anyone who loved me for who I really am. And who are you really? Until 2 months ago, I thought I was just a businessman. But you two have taught me that I'm much more than that. I'm someone who can be an uncle, who can learn to cook, who can sit on a tiny chair at a school play and feel like it's the most important place in the world." Sarah smiled. "That sounds like a man worth getting to know." "Sarah," Ethan said, feeling it was time to be honest, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "These past few months have been the best of my life. And it's not just because of Lily, although she's extraordinary. It's also because of you. The way you take care of your daughter, the way you handle everything with such grace, despite everything you've been through, the way you've made me feel like part of a family." Sarah was silent for a moment. "Ethan, you don't have to say anything." Ethan continued quickly. "I just needed you to know that I admire you very much, that I've fallen in love with you." The words hung in the air between them. Sarah looked at him with an expression Ethan couldn't read. "You've fallen in love with me?" she asked softly. "Yes," Ethan admitted. "I know it's complicated. I know I'm your employer. I know your priority is Lily. I know you might not feel the same. But I couldn't keep it to myself anymore." Sarah reached out her hand and took his. "Ethan, I've fallen in love with you too." Ethan's heart stopped. "Really? How could I not? You saved my life. You gave my daughter an uncle who adores her. You gave me hope when I had lost all faith. But more than that, you gave me something I thought I would never have. A partner who sees me as I am, not as what I need to be." "What does this mean for us?" Ethan asked. "It means that maybe, just maybe, we could be more than employer and employee. We could be a real family." At that moment, Lily stirred in bed, murmuring something in her sleep. Both adults turned to her, and Ethan could clearly hear what she was saying. "Uncle Ethan, Mom, family." Ethan looked at Sarah, who had tears in her eyes. "I think Lily already considers us a family," she whispered. "And what do you think?" Sarah asked. "I think there's nothing in the world I want more than to be part of your two's family, officially." "What do you mean by officially?" Ethan took Sarah's hands in his. "I mean, I want to marry you. I want to adopt Lily. I want us to be a real family, legally, forever." Sarah gasped. "Are you asking me to marry you?" "Yes," Ethan said without hesitation. "I'm asking you to let me love you and Lily for the rest of my life." "Yes," Sarah whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Yes, of course. Yes." And in that hospital room, with Lily sleeping peacefully between them, Ethan and Sarah kissed for the first time, sealing a promise that would change their lives forever. The next day, when Lily woke up and saw both adults smiling radiantly, she asked with the typical curiosity of a 6-year-old, "Why do you look so happy?" "Oh, because," Ethan said, "I have something very important to ask you." "What?" "Would you like your Uncle Ethan to become your real dad?" Lily's eyes widened. "Really? Are you going to marry Mom?" "If you give your approval." Ethan smiled. Lily shouted with joy, so loud that the nurses rushed in to see what was happening. "Yes! Yes! I'm going to have the best dad in the world!" And that's how a playground accident became the catalyst that transformed a working relationship into a real family, built on love, mutual respect, and the promise that they would never be alone again. A dream realized. The Thorne Davis legacy. 6 months after the proposal in the hospital, Ethan found himself standing in front of his bedroom mirror, adjusting his tie with slightly trembling hands. It wasn't nervousness about the commitment he was about to make, but pure excitement for what this day meant. After 42 years of solitude, he would finally have a family of his own. "Dad!" "Ethan!" Lily's voice echoed through the house as she ran towards his room. In recent months, she had naturally started calling him that. And every time she did, Ethan's heart filled with a joy he didn't know was possible to feel. "Princess!" Ethan turned when Lily ran in, wearing her lavender bridesmaid dress. "You look beautiful. You look very handsome too," Lily said, hugging him around the waist. "Are you nervous?" "A little bit," Ethan admitted, kneeling to her height. "And you?" "No, I'm super excited. Today you're officially going to be my real dad." Ethan felt tears stinging his eyes. Over the past few months, he had been working with his lawyers to initiate Lily's adoption process. Today, after the wedding, he would officially be her legal father. "Lily, may I ask you something important?" "Yes. Are you sure you want me to be your dad? It's a very big decision." Lily looked at him with those big, serious eyes she had inherited from her mother. "Dad, Ethan, you're already my dad. Today we're just going to make it official. How do you know I'm already your dad? Because you take care of me like a dad. You help me with homework, you come to my plays, you read me stories before bed. And when I'm sad, you make me feel better. That's what dads do." Ethan hugged her tightly. "And you are the best daughter a dad could ask for." "Dad, Ethan?" "Yes?" "After today, are we all going to live together in the big house?" "Yes, Princess. We're going to be a real family living under the same roof." "Perfect, because I already chose my room." Ethan laughed. "You already chose?" "Yes, the one with the big window that looks out onto the garden, so I can see the flowers Mom is going to plant." "Perfect." Carmen appeared at the door. "Mr. Thorne, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's time to go." "Is Sarah ready?" Ethan asked. "She's in the car with the other bridesmaids. She looks absolutely radiant." Ethan had insisted that Sarah have the wedding of her dreams, no matter the cost. They had rented the city's most elegant event hall. They had hired the best florists and invited all their important friends and colleagues. But what mattered most to Ethan was that Sarah felt like a princess on her special day. "Ready to go get married?" Ethan asked Lily. "Super ready." The drive to the wedding venue was silent. Ethan looked out the window, reflecting on how completely his life had changed. A year ago, if someone had told him he was about to marry a single mother and adopt a 6-year-old girl, he would have thought that person was crazy. But now, he couldn't imagine his life any other way. When they arrived at the hall, Ethan was surprised by the number of people who had come. He had invited colleagues from work, business partners, and industry acquaintances. But what moved him most were the people Sarah had invited. Teachers from Lily's school, neighbors from her old neighborhood, single mothers she had met in support groups. The difference between their two worlds was evident. But somehow, everyone was there to celebrate their union. "Mr. Thorne," the wedding coordinator approached. "Are you ready to take your place?" "More ready than I've been for anything in my life." Ethan walked towards the altar, with Lily by his side as his special bridesmaid. They had decided she would walk with him, symbolizing that the three of them were uniting as a family. When the music began and the doors opened to reveal Sarah, Ethan felt his heart stop. She wore a simple, elegant white wedding dress that enhanced her natural beauty. Her hair was styled in a soft bun, and she wore the pearl necklace Ethan had given her as an engagement gift. But what impressed him most was the radiant smile on her face. Sarah walked towards him, accompanied by Carmen, who had offered to escort her when she learned that Sarah had no close family. When she finally reached the altar, Ethan took her hands and noticed they were trembling slightly. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "You too," Sarah replied, and both laughed nervously. The officiant, a judge who was a friend of Ethan's, began the ceremony. Dear friends and family, we are here today to witness the union of Ethan and Sarah, and to celebrate not only their love for each other, but also their commitment to forming a family together with Lily. Ethan looked at Lily, who was standing beside him with a smile that lit up the entire room. She carried a small basket with rose petals and had insisted that her job was to make everything super pretty. Ethan, the judge continued, do you have vows you would like to share? Ethan took a paper from his pocket, but then put it back. The words he had prepared no longer seemed sufficient. Sarah, he began, looking directly into her eyes. 8 months ago, I thought I had everything I needed in life. I had success, money, respect, but I had no love, no family, no real purpose. His voice broke slightly. Then a little girl approached me in an elevator and asked me to help her mom. I didn't know that little girl was offering me the greatest gift of my life, the opportunity to be part of a family. Sarah had tears streaming down her cheeks. Sarah, I not only love you, I love the strong woman you are, the dedicated mother you have been, the loyal partner you have become. I promise to love you in sickness and in health, in prosperity and in adversity. I promise to be the husband you deserve and the father Lily needs. Ethan turned to Lily. And Lily, my princess, I promise to be the dad you've always wanted. I promise to be there for every school play, every math problem, every heartbreak, every dream come true. I promise to love you as if you were my own blood, because in my heart, you already are. Lily ran to him and hugged him tightly. I love you, Dad, Ethan. There wasn't a dry eye in the entire hall. Sarah, the judge said softly, your vows. Sarah wiped her tears and took Ethan's hands. Ethan, for years I thought Lily and I were destined to be alone. I thought I had lost my chance to have a complete family when her father abandoned us. I thought my illness had ruined any possibility of finding true love. She paused, looking at Lily. But my daughter taught me that family isn't about perfection. It's about love, support, and the decision to stay together no matter what. She turned to Ethan. You gave me hope when I had lost all faith. You gave me health when I was sick. You gave me love when I felt invisible. But most importantly, you gave my daughter the father I always dreamed she would have. I promise to love you with all my heart. I promise to support you in your dreams and goals. I promise to be your partner in this life and in any other that may come. And I promise that together we will raise Lily with all the love we have. Lily, the judge asked, do you have anything you would like to say? Lily nodded seriously. Yes, I have something very important to say. She cleared her throat, as she had learned to do in her plays. Dad, Ethan, you came into our lives when we needed you most. You took care of Mom when she was sick. You took care of me when I was sad, and you gave us a family when we thought we would always be alone. Her voice grew stronger. I promise to be the best daughter I can be. I promise to help with chores. I promise to do my homework without complaining. And I promise to love you forever. Then she looked at her mother. And Mom, I promise to continue being your special helper and your best friend. Now, the judge continued, exchange rings. Ethan took Sarah's ring, a white gold band with small diamonds he had chosen because it was elegant, but not ostentatious. With this ring, I promise you my eternal love. Sarah took Ethan's ring, a simple gold band she had chosen because it was classic and timeless. With this ring, I promise you my heart forever. But we have one more surprise, Ethan said, taking a small box from his pocket. Lily, this is for you. He opened the box to reveal a small ring with a lavender birthstone. This is your family ring. It means you are officially my daughter." Lily screamed with joy. "It's the most beautiful ring in the world!" "By the power vested in me," the judge declared, "I now pronounce you husband and wife, and officially declare you a family. Ethan, you may kiss your wife." Ethan kissed Sarah softly, and then both bent down to hug Lily. The three embraced as all the guests applauded and cheered. "We are a family!" Lily shouted. "A real family!" The reception was magical. Ethan had hired a band that played all of Sarah's favorite songs, and they had set up a special children's area where Lily and the other invited children could play. But the most special moment came when it was time for the first dance. Ethan and Sarah danced a slow song, while Lily watched them from the main table with a huge smile. "Do you know what's the most incredible thing about all this?" Sarah whispered as they danced. "What?" "That it started with a little girl asking a stranger for help. And now look where we are." "We weren't strangers," Ethan corrected. "We were a family that just hadn't found each other yet." After the first dance, Ethan invited Lily to dance with him. "Do you want to dance with Dad?" "Yes!" Lily ran to him, and he lifted her so she could put her feet on his. As they danced, Lily murmured, "Dad." "Ethan, can I ask you something?" "Of course, princess. Are we going to have more babies? Am I going to have little brothers or sisters?" Ethan laughed. "Would you like to have siblings?" "Yes, but only if they're as good as you and Mom." "Well, that's something your mom and I are going to decide together. But if we have more babies, you would be the best big sister in the world." "I know. I'm going to teach them how to make scrambled eggs and act like trees." The night continued with emotional speeches from Carmen, who spoke about how she had seen Ethan transform from a solitary man into a devoted father. Dr. Carter spoke about how she had seen Sarah recover, not just physically, but emotionally, by finding love and stability. And Lily's teacher spoke about how she had seen a child flourish by finally having a complete family. When it was time to cut the cake, Lily insisted on helping. "It's our family cake," she declared. "We have to cut it together." So the three cut the cake together, with Lily in the middle and her new parents on each side. "Let's make a wish," Lily said. "All together." "What do you wish for, princess?" Ethan asked. "I wish that we'll be happy forever, and that we never have to be alone again." "That's the best wish I've ever heard," Sarah said, kissing her daughter's head. "And what do you wish for, Mom?" "I wish that my family always be healthy and happy, and that we never forget how lucky we are to have found each other." "And you, Dad Ethan?" Ethan looked at his new wife and daughter and felt his heart so full of love that he thought it might explode. "I wish that this is just the beginning of a life full of adventures, laughter, and unconditional love." "Perfect," Lily clapped. "Now let's blow out the candles." The three blew out the candles together, and as the smoke rose to the ceiling, Ethan felt as if all his dreams were coming true at the same time. Later that night, after all the guests had left, and they had carried an exhausted but happy Lily to her new room in the big house, Ethan and Sarah were left alone in their room. "How do you feel, Mrs. Thorne?" Ethan asked. Bracing her, "I feel like I'm the luckiest woman in the world," Sarah replied. "And you, how do you feel?" "I feel like I've finally found my place in the world, as if everything I went through before was necessary to get here. To you two. You know what I like most about all this?" "What?" "That it doesn't feel like the end of something. It feels like the beginning of everything." Ethan kissed her softly. "You're right. This is just the beginning." And as they fell asleep on their first night as an official family, Ethan thought about the extraordinary journey that had brought them there. A child asking for help, a mother fighting for survival, and a man who had learned that true wealth is not measured in money, but in love. Tomorrow, his new life as a husband and father would begin, and he couldn't wait to see what adventures awaited them. A circle of love. The legacy continues. 2 years after the wedding, the Thorne family's life had found a perfect rhythm. Ethan had learned to balance his work with his family life. Sarah had blossomed in both health and happiness. And Lily, now 8 years old, had become a confident and radiant girl who filled the house with laughter and energy. It was a Saturday morning when everything changed again. Ethan was in the kitchen making pancakes, a tradition he had developed on weekends. Lily was sitting at the table telling him about her science project for school when Sarah entered with an expression he hadn't seen in a long time, a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Good morning, my love," Ethan said, kissing her on the cheek. "Did you sleep well?" "Ethan," Sarah said, taking his hand, "I need to talk to you." "Is something wrong?" Ethan immediately asked, worried. For the past 2 years, Sarah's health had been stable, but there was always a part of him that feared the symptoms would return. "No, nothing bad," Sarah smiled. "On the contrary, it's something very good, but I need to tell you in private." "Mom has a secret?" Lily asked, looking up from her orange juice. "Something like that, princess," Sarah replied. "Can you stay here finishing your breakfast while Dad and I talk for a moment? Can I put extra syrup on my pancakes?" "Of course," Ethan said, though his mind was completely focused on Sarah's expression. They went to the study, and Ethan closed the door behind them. "What's wrong, love? You have me worried." Sarah took his hands and looked him directly in the eyes. "Ethan, I'm pregnant." Ethan's world stopped. "What did you say?" "I'm pregnant. 6 weeks." Ethan froze completely, processing the information. "Pregnant? Really?" "Yes, really. I went to the doctor yesterday to confirm it. And the doctor says it's okay with your heart condition?" "That was my first question too," Sarah smiled. "Dr. Carter says that with my current stable and well-controlled condition, I can carry a pregnancy to term without major problems. I'll have to be more careful and have more checkups, but it's possible." Ethan felt a wave of emotions he didn't know how to process. Joy, fear, excitement, worry, all at the same time. "How do you feel about it?" "Honestly, I'm terrified and excited at the same time," Sarah admitted. "I never thought I could have another child. When Lily was born, the doctor said it would be too risky to try again. But now it's different. Now I have access to the best medical care in the world, thanks to you. I have a stronger heart, thanks to the treatments, and I have a family that supports me." Ethan hugged her tightly. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Do you want to do it?" Sarah asked. "Sarah, there's nothing in the world I want more than to have a child with you, but only if you're completely sure it's safe for you." "I am. And Ethan, is there anything else?" "What? Remember the night of our wedding, when Lily asked if we were going to have more babies?" Ethan laughed. "Yes, I remember. Well, I think the universe was listening." At that moment, they heard small knocks on the door. "Mom! Dad! I want to know the secret!" Ethan and Sarah looked at each other. "Do you think she's ready to know?" Ethan asked. "I think she's going to be excited," Sarah replied. They opened the door and found Lily standing outside with her arms crossed and a very serious expression. "What's the secret? Am I in trouble?" "No, princess, you're not in trouble," Ethan laughed, picking her up. "In fact, we have very good news." "What news?" Sarah approached and took Lily's hand. "Honey, you're going to have a little brother or sister." Lily's eyes widened. "Really? Mom's going to have a baby?" "Yes, my love, in about 7 months." Lily screamed with joy so loud it probably echoed throughout the house. "I'm going to be a big sister. I'm going to have a baby." "Are you happy about the news?" Ethan asked. "Super happy. I'm going to teach them everything I know. I'm going to teach them how to make scrambled eggs and act like trees and read and—" "Princess, breathe." Sarah laughed. "You have plenty of time to plan everything you're going to teach them." The following months were a whirlwind of activity. Ethan became the most overprotective husband in the world, insisting that Sarah have weekly medical checkups and hiring a full-time nurse to be available 24/7. "Ethan, I'm pregnant, not sick," Sarah would protest when he tried to help her up the stairs. "I just want to make sure you and the baby are perfectly fine," Ethan would reply. Sarah couldn't be angry with him, because she knew all his overprotection came from love. Lily had become the most enthusiastic big sister-to-be in the world. She had started reading stories to Sarah's belly, insisted on helping decorate the baby's room, and had begun practicing changing diapers with her dolls. "Do you think it's going to be a boy or a girl?" Lily asked one afternoon, while she and Sarah organized baby clothes. "What do you prefer?" Sarah asked. "I don't care. I just want them to be healthy and like to play with me. What if they cry a lot? I'm going to sing them songs like you used to sing to me when I was little," Lily replied seriously. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. "You're going to be the best big sister in the world." "Mom?" "Yes?" "Is Dad Ethan nervous about the baby?" "Why do you ask that?" "Because yesterday I found him reading books about how to be a dad, and when he saw me, he quickly closed the book." Sarah laughed. "Dad Ethan is very excited, but also a little nervous. It's the first time he's going to be a dad to a baby from the very beginning. Should we help him? How? We can teach him everything we know about babies. I know a lot, because I was a baby recently." That night, Lily implemented her plan. During dinner, she announced, "Dad Ethan, Mom and I are going to teach you all about babies." "Really?" Ethan asked, trying not to laugh. "Yes. First, you have to know that babies cry a lot. But it's not because they're angry. It's because they don't know how to talk yet. That's very important to know," Ethan said seriously. "And you have to be very gentle when you carry them. And you have to make sure their little head is always well supported. What else? Babies eat a lot. Like, a lot. And sometimes they spit up food. But it's not because they don't like it. It's because their stomachs are small." "Lily," Sarah interrupted, "how do you know so much about babies?" "Because the teacher taught us at school, and because I remember when I was a baby." "Do you remember when you were a baby?" Ethan asked. "Yes. I remember Mom singing me songs and reading me stories, and I remember sometimes crying because I was hungry or sleepy. And what else do you remember? I remember Mom always made me feel safe, even when I was scared." Sarah wiped the tears that had started to form. "And what do you think you need to know, Dad Ethan? That babies need a lot of love, and that sometimes they'll cry at night, but it's okay, and that they'll grow super fast." "Princess," Ethan said, taking her small hand. "Thank you for teaching me all that. It makes me feel less nervous." "Were you nervous?" "A little bit. It's a very big responsibility to take care of a baby. But you won't be alone," Lily said. "Mom and I are going to help you. We're a team, the best team in the world." Ethan agreed. When the 7th month arrived, Sarah developed some minor complications that required bed rest. Ethan immediately reorganized his entire schedule to work from home, and Lily had become her mom's personal assistant. "Mom, do you need more pillows?" Lily would ask every half hour. "Are you hungry? Do you want me to bring you something to eat? Do you want me to read a story to the baby?" "Lily, love, you don't have to take care of me so much," Sarah would tell her gently. "But I want to take care of you. You always took care of me when I was sick." "When were you sick?" "When I was little, and we didn't have much money. I remember sometimes you wouldn't eat till I could eat. I remember you worked even when you felt bad." Sarah was speechless. She didn't know Lily remembered those difficult times. "And now that we have Dad Ethan, and we live in the big house, I want to make sure you and the baby are perfectly fine." "Come here," Sarah said, opening her arms. Lily snuggled up next to her in bed. "Do you know what I like most about all this?" "What?" "That my baby is going to grow up in a family full of love from day one. They're going to have an incredible dad, a big sister who adores them, and a mom who will never again have to worry about money or being alone." "Mom?" "Yes?" "Do you think the baby will look like Dad Ethan? Would you like them to look like him?" "Yes, because Dad Ethan is very handsome and very smart, but I also hope they look a little bit like you." "Why?" "Because you have the most beautiful eyes in the world, and because you are the bravest mom I know." That night, when Ethan came home after a quick meeting at the office, he found Sarah crying softly in bed. "What's wrong, love? Do you feel unwell?" he immediately asked, worried. "No, I don't feel unwell," Sarah replied, wiping her eyes. "It's just that Lily told me something today that made me realize how blessed I am." "What did she tell you?" "She told me she remembers when we were poor, when I worked sick, when we didn't have enough food. And she told me she's happy that our baby will never have to go through that." Ethan sat on the bed and hugged Sarah. "You're never going to go through that again, I promise you." "I know. But it's amazing to think about how our lives changed. 3 years ago, I was desperate, sick, trying to find a job to survive. And now I'm here, married to the most wonderful man in the world, expecting our second child." "Second child?" "Ethan, Lily is as much yours as this baby will be. You're the only dad she really remembers." "You know what excites me most about all this?" Ethan asked. "What?" "That this baby will grow up seeing Lily as an example. They'll learn about kindness, generosity, and unconditional love by watching her. And they'll learn from you. I hope they learn that it's never too late to find a family. That love isn't about blood, but about choice. That true wealth is measured in moments like these." Sarah took his hand and placed it on her belly. "Feel this." Ethan felt a strong kick against his palm. "Wow, that was strong. They've been very active today. I think they're excited to meet you." "Do you think they know who I am?" "I think they know you're the person who's going to love them unconditionally for the rest of their life." At that moment, Lily appeared at the door. "Can I feel the baby too?" "Of course, princess," Sarah said. Lily put her small hand on Sarah's belly, and immediately the baby kicked. "I think they're saying hi to me. I think they already know you're going to be the best big sister in the world," Ethan said. "Dad, Ethan?" "Yes?" "Can I ask the baby a favor?" "What favor?" "I want to ask them to be born healthy and to make Mom very happy." Ethan felt tears in his eyes. "I think that's the best favor anyone can ask for. And you know what else?" "What?" "I want them to know they have the best family in the world waiting for them." As the three stood there, with their hands on Sarah's belly, feeling the baby's kicks, Ethan realized he had found something he didn't even know he was looking for. A purpose that went beyond himself. In 2 months, they would be 4. A family that had started with a child asking a stranger for help, and that was now growing with a new member who would be loved before birth. "You know what's the most incredible thing about all this?" Ethan murmured. "What?" Sarah and Lily asked at the same time. "That it all started with the 3 most important words I've ever heard in my life. Help me. My mom is sick." "And what are the 3 most important words now?" Lily asked. Ethan looked at the 2 women who had completely transformed his life. "I love you, family. The enduring legacy. A perfect circle of love." 10 years after the day that changed everything, Ethan found himself standing in the same place where he had met Lily, the 15th floor of the corporate building. But this time, he wasn't alone. By his side was Lily, now a beautiful 16-year-old, and in his arms he carried Alex, his 8-year-old son, who had inherited his mother's intelligent eyes and his father's quiet determination. "Dad, why did we come here?" Alex asked, looking around the waiting area where it had all begun. "Because there's something important I want you to understand," Ethan replied, sitting on the same bench where he had found Lily as just a scared little girl. "I saved you?" Lily laughed. "Dad, you were the one who saved Mom and me." "No, princess. That day I was a rich but empty man. I had all the money in the world, but I had no family, no real purpose, no love. I was so lost that I didn't even know I was lost." Ethan took the hands of his 2 children. "But then a brave little girl approached me and said the words that would change my life forever. Help me. My mom is sick." "And what did you think when you heard her?" Alex asked. "I thought it was annoying," Ethan admitted. "I thought it wasn't my problem, but something in Lily's eyes made me stop. There was a purity in her love for her mom, a determination to fight for someone else that was stronger than anything I had seen in the business world." "And then what happened?" Then I discovered that helping someone else was the most rewarding thing I had ever done in my life. I discovered that being a father was better than being a millionaire. I discovered that the love of a family was more valuable than all the contracts I had signed. Sarah appeared at the entrance to the floor, carrying a bouquet of white flowers. At 40, she looked more beautiful than ever. The medical treatments had been successful, and although she still had regular checkups, she had been completely healthy for the past 10 years. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. "Ready for what?" Alex asked. "Today is a very special day," Sarah explained. "Exactly 10 years ago, your dad and I met when Lily asked him for help, and today we want to do something special to celebrate." "What are we going to do?" "We're going to help another family who needs exactly what we needed 10 years ago," Ethan replied. They went down together to the building lobby, where Carmen was waiting for the Emma with a huge smile. For the past 10 years, she had been much more than an assistant. She had become part of the extended family. "Is everything ready?" Ethan asked. "Everything's perfect," Carmen replied. "The Gomez family is waiting in the conference room." "Who are the Gomezes?" Lily asked. "They're a family going through exactly what we went through," Sarah explained. "Maria Gomez is a single mother. She's sick and desperately needs work to support her 2 children. And we're going to help her? We're going to do more than help her." Ethan smiled. "We're going to change their lives completely." When they entered the conference room, they found a young woman with 2 small children. Maria Gomez was around 28 years old. She looked tired and worried. But there was something in her posture that reminded Ethan of the dignity Sarah had maintained even in her most difficult moments. Her children, a 7-year-old boy named Leo and a 5-year-old girl named Mia, were sitting quietly beside her. But Ethan could see in their eyes the same premature maturity he had seen in Lily when she was small. "Ms. Gomez," Ethan said, approaching with his family. "I'm Ethan Thorne, and this is my family." "Mr. Thorne," Maria stood up nervously. "Thank you for seeing me. I know you're a very busy man." "Do you know why I wanted to meet you?" Ethan asked. "Your assistant told me you had a job opportunity. But honestly, I don't understand why someone like you would want to help someone like me." Lily approached Maria and smiled. "Because 10 years ago, I asked my dad for help when my mom was sick and needed a job. And he helped us in a way that changed our lives forever." "You're the girl from the story?" Maria asked in amazement. "You know the story?" Sarah asked. Everyone in the city knows the story, about how the millionaire Ethan Thorne met his family when a little girl asked him for help for her sick mom. "Well," Ethan smiled, "today we want to create a new story, your story." Over the next hour, Ethan explained the offer he had prepared for Maria. Not only did he offer her a job as an administrator for one of his smaller companies, but he also offered full health insurance, housing, and education for her children. "Why would you do this for us?" Maria asked, with tears in her eyes. "Because 10 years ago, someone taught me that true wealth is not in what you accumulate, but in what you share," Ethan replied. "And because we believe that everyone deserves an opportunity to have a better life." "But what do you get in return?" "The satisfaction of knowing that we are passing forward the gift we received," Sarah replied. "The opportunity to teach our children that the purpose of life is to help others." Alex approached Leo, Maria's son. "Do you want to be my friend?" "Really?" Leo asked shyly. "Yes, you can come play at my house. I have lots of toys." Lily knelt beside Mia. "You know what? I was also your age when I met my dad, Ethan, and now I have the best family in the world." "Really?" Mia asked with big eyes. "Really? And if you want, I can be like your big sister." Maria burst into tears. "I can't believe this is real." "It is real," Ethan said gently. "But there's one condition." "What?" Maria asked, worried. "That one day, when you are in a position to do so, you help another family who is going through the same thing you are going through now. Is that all? We want this love, this help, to keep growing and spreading to more families." "Yes," Maria exclaimed. "Of course, yes." After finalizing all the details and arranging for Maria and her children to start their new life the following week, the Thorne family headed to their favorite restaurant for dinner. The small restaurant they used to go to when Lily was little. "Dad?" Alex asked, as they waited for their food. "Are we going to keep helping more families? Would you like us to?" "Yes, I like to see people happy." "And you, Lily? What do you think?" "I think we should create a foundation," Lily replied. "Something official. Something that helps single mothers and their children find jobs, medical care, and opportunities." Ethan looked at Sarah in surprise. "Have you been thinking about this?" "I have," Sarah admitted. "Lily has some credible ideas." "What kind of ideas?" "Well," Lily said, grabbing a napkin and starting to write. "We could help with jobs, like you did with Mom. We could provide medical care for sick mothers. We could offer childcare while mothers work. And we could give educational scholarships so children can go to college." "And what would this foundation be called?" Ethan asked. "The Hope Foundation," Alex said immediately. "Because that's what you give families. Hope. What do you two think?" Ethan asked Sarah and Lily. "I think it's perfect," Sarah replied. "And I think we should do it." "And how are we going to finance it?" "Dad," Lily said seriously, "you have more money than our family can spend in 10 lifetimes. Don't you think it's time to use it for something that really matters?" Ethan was silent for a moment. Then he smiled. "You know what? You're right. We're going to do it." 6 months later, the Hope Foundation was officially established. Ethan had donated half of his personal fortune to create a fund that would help hundreds of families each year. Lily had postponed her university admission for a year to help establish the programs, and Alex had insisted that part of his weekly allowance be donated to the foundation. But the most special moment came on the foundation's first anniversary, when they organized an event to celebrate all the families they had helped. "How many families have you helped so far?" a reporter who had come to cover the event asked. 50 families, Lily replied proudly. 50 mothers who now have stable jobs, medical care, and hope for the future. And how many children? 120 children who now go to school, have safe food, and know that there are adults who care about them, Alex added. "Mr. Thorne," the reporter asked, "did you ever imagine that a casual conversation with a 6-year-old girl would turn into all this?" Ethan looked around the room, seeing all the families they had helped. He saw Maria Gomez, who was now the foundation's operations director. He saw her children playing with Leo and Mia. He saw Sarah leading a discussion group on maternal health. "No," Ethan replied honestly. "I never imagined that asking a stranger for help would become a life mission. But now I can't imagine living any other way." "What message do you want to share with other people who might be in a position to help? That help doesn't have to be big to be meaningful," Ethan replied. "Sometimes all you need is to listen when someone tells you, 'Help me,' and be willing to do something about it. And for families who need help, never lose hope. Never be afraid to ask for help. And remember that a no doesn't mean there isn't another door that can be opened." That night, after all the guests had left, the Thorne family sat in their living room, reflecting on the day. "Do you know what the most incredible part of all this is?" Sarah asked. "What?" the other three asked at the same time. "That it started with a 6-year-old girl who loved her mom so much that she was willing to ask a stranger for help. And now that same girl, grown into a beautiful young woman, is helping other families find hope." "Mom?" Lily asked. "Yes? Do you ever regret raising me alone during those first years?" Sarah looked at her daughter in surprise. "Why do you ask that?" "Because sometimes I think if you had had help from the beginning, you wouldn't have had to struggle so much." "Lily," Sarah said, taking her daughter's hands, "every difficult moment we went through together brought us here. Every night I worried about money. Every time I had to work sick. Every moment of fear I felt. All of that was necessary for us to be on that 15th floor, that specific day. Do you think destiny led us to Dad?" "I think love led us to Dad," Sarah replied. Your love for me gave you the courage to ask for help. My love for you gave me the strength to keep going. And Dad's love for both of us gave purpose to his life. And now what? Alex asked. Now we keep loving, Ethan replied. We keep helping. We keep growing as a family. Dad? Lily asked. Yes, Princess. Thank you for listening to me that day. Thank you for not walking away. Thank you for being brave enough to ask for help, Ethan replied. Thank you for teaching me that true wealth has nothing to do with money. What does it have to do with? It has to do with the people you love. It has to do with the difference you make in the world. It has to do with knowing that at the end of the day, your life mattered because you made others' lives better. Alex snuggled between his parents. You know what's the best thing about our family? What? Everyone asked. That we started with a little girl who needed help, and now we're a family that helps other little families who need help. It's like a perfect circle. You know what, Alex? Ethan said, hugging his son. You're right. It's a perfect circle of love. And as the Thorne family prepared for the night, knowing that tomorrow would bring new opportunities to help more families, Ethan reflected on the extraordinary journey that had begun with 3 simple words. Help me. My mom is sick. Those words had changed not only his life, but the lives of hundreds of families. They had created a legacy of love, hope, and generosity that would extend for generations. And it all had begun with a brave little girl who loved her mom so much that she was willing to ask a stranger for help. Because, in the end, that is the true magic of love. It has the power to transform not only the people who receive it, but also the people who give it. And the circle continues. One family at a time, one act of kindness at a time, one life changed at a time.